Welcome, everybody, to Hide and Seek, a fun conversations with some very wise women. So, today's topic is what does a full life actually look like? Most people say they want it, but sometimes we have no idea what that is. So, today we're going to have a conversation about that. I'd like to introduce my lovely friends here. Sunshine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Jacqueline, thank you so much for having me here today. And I am Sunshine. I'm an international medium, spiritual life coach, and energy healer. And I love working with people to support them in there's more than just our physical, right? And there's more than, oh, things are just happening to me. We are all from the oneness, from the universe, from the divine, however we'd like to relate. And the more that we're tapped into our different bodies and systems and work living fully from that, the more access that we have to that oneness and to our divine team or our collective. And we can create what is transpiring in our lives. And other things that transpire that we're like, I didn't sign up for this, right? It's part of our soul growth. It's part of our evolving here in this lifetime, in the physical. So I love what I do. I love working with souls. I work with a lot of souls up there and down here. Everything's so interconnected. So thank you, Jacqueline, for having me here today.
Yeah, happy to have this conversation. And Miss Alana, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. My name's Alana Heim, and my soul essence is prosperity alignment. And that's really the energy that I put out in the world. And it stems from prosperity being everything. It's not just money, it's not just finances. And yet, that's my background, being a certified public accountant and certified financial planner, and just seeing the interweavings that there's so much to integrate when it comes to prosperity, to your finances and your financial flow. There's physical aspects, there's the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. And, if you've done the corporate thing and you feel like you're just like constantly on the hamster wheel, going, 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 right? There's just a lot of physical energy there that we focus on, and it drains us. But it's actually draining us mentally, and then emotionally, we start to get really uptight. And then spiritually, we feel disconnected from ourselves. So just like Sunshine said, it's really beginning to integrate all of these parts of ourselves so that we're really well-rounded. Our financial flow is just infinite in potential, and we're starting to really grasp it and claim it for our own.
Hmm, I love it. And I'm Jacqueline Kane. I love helping people get to the root cause of their physical, emotional, and financial pain so that they can create the life they really desire with the health, the optimal health that they desire, and really understanding that you are a powerful manifester and you have the ability to do and create anything you desire when we get out of our minds and when we're living aligned energetically. So today I'd love to talk about what does that actual life that we all desire look like and how do we get there? So, a quick story. A child plays hide and seek, giddy with the thrill of being found. But somewhere in adulthood, we stop wanting to be found. We hide our real selves, our real desires, our real lives behind busyness, performance, and I'm fine. Today, I'd love to talk about what are you hiding from and what would it look like to actually be found by your own life? So many of us, we all have our own businesses. Um, and for me, when I started my own business, I thought, oh, I'll just become a massage therapist and put a shingle up there and, everybody will come in, right? Because everybody needs a massage. And boy, did I find out that's not how it works. And it's taken me years, thousands of dollars of hiring coaches and mentors of, oh my God, how do I really create this business that I thought I wanted? And understanding that it's more of our energy that helps us either to create a business or even just the life we want. with ease and flow, or we keep hiding. And I spent a lot of time hiding. It wasn't safe for me to be seen because of what I experienced in my upbringing. And understanding that to to really be successful, no matter what I'm doing, I needed to heal all those parts of me. Am I where I want to be? Am I completely transparent? Do I go on social media and just turn that recorder on? Nope, I'm not there yet. But boy, am I so much further along than I was a long time ago, even just a few years ago. Um, and watching now that we've become grandparents, watching young children really just live their life. I want this. I want that. I want. And we're not here to tell them no, although sometimes we do say no, but they really have all these desires. Um, so, Sunshine, what do you think about this topic and all of it? There's so much, right?
Yes, it is a loaded topic, but I do believe that we are all conditioned to keep really, really busy, even from a young age, right? Like young children and stuff. Um, it's societal, it's conditioned, it's in the matrix, right? We keep them busy, right? As far as they got to do this activity, they got to sign up for this, they got to society teaches us that everything is outside of ourselves and that we got to keep up and compare ourselves to each other all the time. And throughout that, like, we're conditioned that we got to grow up, got to have kids, we got to get married, we got to have a car, we got to have a career. And to me, that is just distorted. It's not our truth. It gets us further away from what we are desiring, what we would like to do and be passionate about, what brings us pleasure, right? What fills us up is what I believe a fulfilled life is about. Not on who you know and how many people and how many different things. I'm going out for dinner here. I'm going to a movie. I'm going to a concert. I'm going to society. Societal things condition us to keep us so busy that we don't have time to go in and have that self-awareness, right? That that self-love, that what brings me joy, what brings me happiness, what fills me up, right? One thing that fills me up is I love my silent time. Like I love just being with me, and I notice a very big difference in myself. Kind of I get spinny and get out of energy if I don't have that time to fill myself up. So I think it's a lot of distortion. It's a lot of seeing out of foggy lenses kind of thing on how we're trained, right? A lot of us will become workaholics, or a lot of us we could be a business owner, or we could be working for somebody else. And we make that 98% of our lives for a lot of us, when 98% of us should be, for living for the life, whole life for us, and then giving from there. We have receiving backwards. We always think we got to give and then we receive. But it is like receiving for oneself and then being able to give. So thank you, but it is loaded, right? There's just so much to discuss this way.
Yeah, and I think society has trained us to believe that we should be doing, and going and putting everybody else's needs before our own and becoming a really good people pleaser because it's so selfish to think of yourself. And yet we've created a life that is draining and stressful and exhausting. And people are passing away before they even get to retirement, before they even get to really enjoy themselves.
And
Yeah, and it's wrong, right? If you look at a lot of the millennials, they're not signing up for this. We are because our parents trained us and conditioned, and that's what they did. And, it's because of everything they went through. There's no blame or shame here. It's just how they lived their lives. But I think we're in a state now where we don't have to do that. And we can actually be so much more productive if we slow it all down. And I'm sure if you're listening, please comment because for a lot of people, that's like, oh no, I can't do that. That's impossible. No, that doesn't work. But we've tried it. I'm doing it, and it's so much better. So, Alana, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think it's, what are we really hiding from? And when did it start? Because what I might be hiding from now, I may not realize actually ties to some other moment in time, some part of me that still is fearful of being made fun of in the classroom, or you speak up. And, just think of when you are a child and you have all these big dreams and possibilities, and you're so excited, just like you said, to be hiding. You're so excited to be found, but at the same time, moment you're like excited to share, like somebody came in and shut you down. Whether that was your parent that's like, you can't do that and you can never make money at that. And suddenly you're having to choose something else. And that something else never feels as good. And it doesn't feel exciting, doesn't feel joyful. You're just suddenly going through the motions, and then you're right there in that whole conditioning of just do it because you're supposed to, and oh, this is going to make me money and make me wealthy. But meanwhile, the inner joy is lacking. Right? There's no wealth in that way. There's just exhaustion and burnout and have tos and shoulds and all those pieces. And I think that's that's the part that, where the new generations are. Maybe we are allowing people to dream bigger, and we're accommodating it more than like our generation or our parents' generation and grandparents before, right? All the generations before, it was like axe chop down the tree. Nope, you don't get to grow in that direction anymore. You're done. And I think the kids nowadays, they don't want to just settle for what has been done before. They can see the misery and they're
Yeah.
like, I will live with my parents. I won't take that job. I don't want to do this. I don't care about the money. I want my health and well being to flourish. And if that means saying no to this stability or this perceived like great job, they're instantly like, hard no, I'll pass. And I think that's really cool.
It is really great. I mean, they get a lot of slack because people comment they're not workers, they're not going to work hard. But wow, can we learn a lot from them if we just take a little bit of time to get to know them, what they really desire, what they really came here, because they're really smart.
They
And
have high standards. This is what high
exactly.
standards looks like.
And we're going to judge that, right? Because again, we came from the culture of you have to give and give. Who do you think you are? Don't speak up. Um, it's a whole different way of being. And really, it is a whole different level of standards. And imagine what is possible when we have a whole culture that says, you matter. Your time is important, your thoughts and your ideas and your creativity and your ability to allow that to flow through without the judgment, without all the limiting factors, without all the I shoulds, right? If we allow them to step into what's possible. And for those of us who are older, if we could just get out of our way and take some time to breathe, to really get clear, what do I really want? I talked to a woman yesterday who was really frustrated. She left corporate. She wants to grow her business. It's a holistic business. Um, but yet she had all these beliefs and energy and fear around money. Her own nervous system was reacting, which caused her to spin and not get focus and go off on tangents where she couldn't even answer my question. How much do you want to make? Well, I can't, I shouldn't, I have to, I can't be this way. Like, whoa, I'm just asking you a question. What's the number? But immediately she went off into the beliefs. and what everybody told her, right? That's still playing out in her subconscious mind. And I see a lot of people who are trying to grow their holistic business with all of that sitting in there. And you're not going to get far. What are your thoughts on that, Alana? The money prosperity person.
Same pieces, right, have come from somewhere at some point in our life. And I think too with corporate and the way the world used to work financially, but really job wise, you get what you get.
Mm.
There is no choice, right? This is all that's available. That's what you get. And that we didn't learn to say, actually, that doesn't meet my standard, right? Those high standards that the kids have. That doesn't meet my threshold for my value, my worth. And I love that this is absolutely could be a great job, but this I'm worth more. And we walk away and we don't do that. Why? Because of fear, because of scarcity thinking. And immediately we assume that's the only opportunity. I better take it while I can and get whatever I can and think that I don't have the ability to ask and receive what I'm worth, right? We just want to give, 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 give. And oh, I'm going to give 2 jobs worth and you're only going to pay me for half a job, right? And especially when overtime became just part of salary and people just work 60 hours now for 40 hours pay. You know what I mean? It's just this cycle of careers, jobs, employers. They thought they had the advantage and they did whatever they could to really just kind of beat you down. And that's changing, right? So whether you think of it as the employee market now and more employees can actually demand and command their worth and ask for what they know is true. And yet there's still that wobble of, but I don't know what I'm worth. And I don't know if I should ask for this. And sometimes you go, well, I'll just ask for a little more. And then they're like, done. And you're like, oh, I gotta ask for more.
Right. Yeah. And it becomes more of trust, right? Because companies are like, you're lucky that you have a job. You're lucky you have, in this world right now today, you're lucky you have a job. You're lucky instead of trusting that, oh, well, maybe there's something better for me. Maybe I can create something different in a whole new way. And not a lot of people have trusted themselves and stepped into that level of worthiness. Um, yeah, thank you. How about you, Sunshine?
Fear does stop a lot of people from making decisions, making choices, or they may come to a point where they don't think that they have choices around things. If it's money, like money, is energy, right? It's from the vibration of love, energy. It's from there's enough for everybody. It is something that us humans created for divine souls here to be on earth, and it can be equal all around. But we can get caught up on just thinking or looking or just seeking for the leftovers, right? With not feeling worthy or of value, or like scrounging, or if I speak my truth about something, then I'm going to lose the opportunity. And a lot of times there will be, I just recently met with somebody that was taking on a new job position, and she had like a few hours to make the decision, right? That pressure and going back and forth. Um, so there's never really any wrong decision. Now, is there, right? Like it's all divine timing on where you should be if it's coming from your heart rather than your mind and that monkey brain gymnastics and that monkey brain on it's just about our conditioned self, what we've been brainwashed with, and what we think is, we might not even think what's right. It just, it's how we're conditioned, and it's not even our belief system. I believe that um, life should be like a playground, right? No matter if it's business, no matter if it's something that you're walking into and doing for somebody else, but it should always fill you up, not deplete you, right? Or not make you feel awful or make you go into a situation where you're feeling totally abused or not heard or not seen. Or not having any value, any say, or not getting paid as much as what you want. But when we're talking about a fulfilled life, right, we can go to relationships, we could go to finances, we can go to career choices. But then again, that's all stuff kind of on the outside of us. It's not the stuff inside of us. I remember when, I've always kind of like in the country with the kids. Some people would think isolated or secluded. Um, I didn't desire for the children to be raised where, they were always going and busy and didn't have anything or any awareness for themselves. So I remember um, one of my daughters was 14 years old. And I just remember her going to her grandparents and kind of having like a temper tantrum saying, "Oh my goodness, I just want to be around people, right? Like I've seen enough trees and stars and moons and because they always had that awareness, right, to fill themselves up or to have that knowledge, not to depend on something on the outside of them, right? Like if people have fear that everything's changing right now, but do we know how to can our food, right? Do we know how to forest in the woods? And that was always important to me, is to have that inner knowledge, that inner understanding. How do you build a fire? To me, that's fulfilling. To me, that is like a wholeness on um, having things within you, right? The food we consume, right? That all that fulfillness, right? Do you know how to cook? All of that to me is a fulfilled life. If you're able to be independent on your own, right? And not count on everybody else, right? If something wasn't working anymore or something broke down. There's so many situations where we live, there's no hydro. I'd love to be on the solar, right? To be able to not be dependent that way. That's a goal that I have. So to me, that's what a fulfilled life is that inner awareness and being able to have joy and a peace and happiness with whatever you're creating, whatever you're doing, whatever you're touching, whatever you're being at that moment. Because we can get that again, to me, is societal, right? The career, the relationships, that it's everything on the outside. It's not the fulfilled life that we could choose for ourselves in the inside. And yes, so it has so many moving parts, right?
Yeah, and you
And it
bring
can
up a
all
point.
be.
That's where we have to
Mhm,
start, right?
mhm,
Some people don't even realize that they're so dependent on everybody else, that they're so dependent on we've that we've attracted the people who are the same vibration, right? The same beliefs that we need other people. Why go inside? There was somebody in one of a networking group that said, I don't need personal development. I was like, that's interesting.
mhm,
I'm of the mindset I can keep growing because I'm not where I want to be yet. Yes, I'm way ahead of where I ever thought I could be, but now I'm addicted to growing even more. Um, and so our beliefs attract certain people to keep us safe, right? So that we don't feel alone. So we feel like we have a community. And I know for me in the beginning, I attracted people who kind of depended on other people to feel good, to feel like I belong. And so that's, I think, the first awareness that for me, when I was going through a really hard time, I realized I attracted all the wrong people. Wow, I was curious, how did that happen? I always thought of myself as such a positive person, but I ended up in a place I never wanted to be. And I had to decondition and release. all these parts of me that got me there. And you are so right. In that work, I had to start trusting me and start believing that I can do it, that I could take care of myself. Um, so I think it is a journey of getting where we want to be and having more conversations of, and a desire, I think, to improve yourself. Because we could have stayed where we were, right? In that busyness, it'd be fine. Your life would be okay. You'd be exhausted and probably really sick at some point, but it would be okay. But then for some of us, there's so much more we want, and that's just not fulfilling anymore. Um, so thank you, Sunshine. It's all very true and much needed conversation. How about you, Alana? What's coming up for you in this?
I want to say for everybody watching that we go through iterations, and I'm in one myself. So, as much as we can say, what is this full life and what does it look like? It's constantly evolving. It's like just like the values that we have at certain points in time. When you're in your 20s and you get a job, your most important value is you want to work. But then you meet someone, you get married, maybe you have kids, right? Your values start to change, which means your priorities start to change. And maybe you still work, but you kind of know, like, I have this family, I also need to find this balance. And then you get to a place where you find the balance, and then you realize, I don't really love this work. I need something else. It's like the moment, because of just the way life works, spiritual purpose and all of these pieces move, the moment you land and you're like, the rug is pulled right back out and you're Aladdin and Jasmine, like having to fly around going, what's next? And, even for myself right now, I have a graduating high school senior. I have a set of twins. They're in sixth grade. So, I still have the kids, but it's like my husband and I are looking ahead, and I'm starting to feel this itch of like, is this my community? Where will I go? When the kids are gone, oh my gosh, like where would we go? But there is this like feeling of it's time to go, right? To go somewhere or live somewhere or um, maybe be a little nomadic or maybe even just live in another country and experience other culture and people. And it's not so much what I do, but yet I'm still grappling with that as well. Like, who am I? How do I be? But what do I do? And so, having this business for 10 years, it feels like, okay, time to do something else. And we're just constantly evolving. And the bigger piece for myself is, what is a full life? It's what brings me joy, what makes me happy. And the more I look at my kids and even financial pieces and choices I've made, I sacrificed it for my kids. And there's a part of me that's like, why did I do that? Why did I give it all away? Right. And then to see what comes in, what am I receiving in return? And it's very unequal, right? It is, so it's just these pieces of going, well, I thought it needed to be this. And so I was all in, but now the big value wheel is lopsided and my cart is not really driving or moving. And so it's reevaluating and seeing, okay, which parts need a little bit more in the air in the tire then, so that it is rolling again and it's moving and flowing for me because I'm choosing it, choosing like the millennials, choosing that this is my high standard and people have to meet it. So I've pulled back a lot of the things that I realized haven't brought me joy, aren't fun. And then it's this question of, okay, well, what the heck is fun? And I don't know. So it's, again, finding me in all of it. And as much as I've been already doing that for a decade, right? But there's a new perspective that I'm really sinking into, which is not just where have I been and what was happening and causing this and what are all the tumultuous, traumatic pieces, but kind of scrapping it all and realizing, okay, great, that's where we've been, but I'm here now. And which direction am I creating now? And what inspires me to start thinking? And so I'm finding new rabbit holes to go down and things to kind of look into. And why? Because at least it intrigues me. And then I don't always know who to share it with because most people will think I'm freaking crazy. But that's what's,
Yep.
at least more exciting and more fulfilling for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Alana. And I think I've so I didn't start my business till I started my business when my kids were young. And looking back, it's hard. I'm sorry, but moms who do are so involved. There's just so much on our plate. And I know there's women out there who have it all and they do it all. And I'm like, oh my God, how are you doing that? You must have so much help because our kids they need us. And we're not the kind of moms who are gonna shrug it off. Or I'm assuming that we're the kind of moms who take the time to really sit down with our kids. Because that's really what kids need in their upbringing. If our goal is to really make it so that our kids are self-sufficient, just like you were talking about, Sunshine, I know I can't ignore them. I know I have to be present. And building a business takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of socializing and getting out there and being seen and getting everybody involved when our kids are like, no, I want to go here and I want to go there and I want to do all these activities. Um, we are thrown off in a lot of different directions. Um, so I'm happy, Alana, that you're coming home to you and figuring out really what you want, what lights you up. I think every woman out there, oh my God, if that's the gift you can give yourself, that's the key ingredient to living a life you want and not hovering over your children and focusing on, oh my God, what are they doing? I know for me, when I stepped back and I said, they have to make their own mistakes, right? I have to really step back. That was the most hardest thing. I mean, my oldest son, when he went to college, he went states away. It was like one direction. You're not coming home on the weekend. You're not coming home for a family dinner on Sunday. Um, I was terrified of, oh my God, how's he going to figure everything out? How's he going to manage everything? And you know what? He rose to the occasion. So when I could get out of my own way, it was really good. And it's all about energetic alignment. Like where's the leakage? Where am I not inspired? And sometimes that's in our home. As moms, we're so busy and trying to run everything, all those balls juggling, that sometimes our home is the last thing on our plate. Um, so sometimes there's a misalignment with us as we're evolving, and it can show up in our homes. So, Sunshine, let's go around and say last words. What are you doing living your full life?
Well, I love how you've been talking about, we've all been talking about growth and evolving. And I do believe that there'll be like a present place where we are, and then a place where we'd like to be going. And we may not know what that is, or we may not have to know what that is, but there's always that gap in between. And that gap for a lot of people can feel like unknown. They don't like it, a lot of stress, overwhelm. But that gap is the place that we can create. And then we get up there, and then it changes again because I never strive to stay the same, right? I wouldn't want to be the same, stay the same, or I don't desire to be like anybody else. We're all unique, and it would be pretty damn boring if we were all the same. So that growth and that transition, especially when you are living like a full life or striving to, uh, it it's a feeling that you have inside. Like joy is the key to health, right? Some people haven't ever experienced joy or maybe like happiness, or they get that from when they feel they've been part of giving for somebody to feel happiness or joy. And it is something that's always evolving, always changing. One thing that I'm working on right now is keeping that balance in life, right? Playtime in business, playtime in life. And it's something that is a challenge. It's not easy. Business is a lot of sacrifice. And always like keeping the different bodies and systems aligned, but finding that balance for me in like life and playtime and present moment and business and business life and playtime. But I always do a check-in with myself. Like is my energy? Um, is it giving me pleasure? Is it something that I'm passionate about? Is it something that is filling me up with joy? There's so many things that that I love to do something new each day, right? It could be dancing naked on a tailgate or jumping on the trampoline under the stars, or we're talking about when we were younger and stuff, but we had that curiosity and wonder and surprise. And like you said, lots of things get pulled out from underneath us. And I strive to live with that curiosity and wonder and surprise and that gratitude that, hey, I woke up, I have another day. Like, what's going to come, right? Who am I going to connect with? What's it going to be like? And what treasures are out there, kind of thing. And instead of doing that, like that spinning, right? We're just conditioned so badly that everything is outside of us, but actually it comes from inner. And when we do that, then it has to have a ripple effect, right? It has to have a ripple effect, like dropping a stone in the water, how it ripples out. It has to, as we change ourselves, we can't change anything outside of us, but as we change ourselves, everything ripples. A different consciousness comes. Things that may have triggered us before that we were able to heal doesn't trigger us as much. We bring in the new people that will give us new lessons and life experiences. So just try to move forward in all things, right? That's what healing is to me. Healing doesn't mean it's broken or you're broken, you need fixed, like, oh God, you're stuck. It means moving forward in all things and experiences. And I would say, like, just to check in with yourself. How are you living? What's a fulfilled life for you? Does it mean, making sure your gardens are up to par like everybody else's, or your vegetables are more riper than somebody else? Like, are you doing that comparison? Are you living life for your fulfilled life? And I am just amazed for like people that do have young children and are doing everything that they can, and they just don't know how to fit themselves in because being a mom in the first place, you lose yourself, right? You go from being sunshine to being like, oh, the baby's here, or like the kids are always seen, and you're kind of like, hello, right? And everything changes up past that. And it is for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter how old the kids are, or what they're doing, or what they're up to. You are a mom for this lifetime, right? With them here. So it is a juggling act, but number one is you, right?
It never ends. And I remember the time when I gave birth to my first son, and I was shivering and shaking, and I'm like, "Can I have a blanket? Can I have a blanket? Hello, blanket." And they were taking care of the baby, right? Like that started it all up. Who are you? You just gave birth, but go away. We're going to focus on the baby now. But I'm freezing. Um, So anyway, it's so true. We're all important. You are important. And oh my God, the ripple effect when we start speaking up and having fun and being seen, people value us more. We thought people pleasing would get us what we want. It doesn't work that way. People really want everybody to feel love for themselves and take care of themselves. And you're right, that ripple effect, when that love comes back, sometimes it's just too much. Can I really take all of this love in and all this growth and all the success and all the gratefulness and the gratitude for everything that you've created? It's amazing what can happen when you really step into that high vibe energy, the integrity, and you deserve and you're worthy and all of that. It's incredible, absolutely incredible what shows up. Yeah, thank you. And this is all about baby steps, right? Because when you've looked for other people for satisfaction and for love and support instead of yourself and are that people pleaser, I was a very good people pleaser, said yes to everything at the expense of myself. And so in that transition, we have to take baby steps because it's not always going to feel comfortable. And sometimes you're like, oh, I should just say yes. Let me just say yes because it's just easier. It's just easier. Or it's just easier to hide. It's easier not to speak up, right? But there's that part of you that's like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. Go, go, go. Um, and it's just so much fun when you really have the courage to value yourself and where you'll end up. It's amazing. So, Alana, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I know that we've kind of talked some of the, brought in financial aspects. So I'm just going to say, let's take inventory. Usually we think of inventory, it's like stores or counting all their stuff and what do I have? But inventory also, we can really assess what are we receiving versus what are we giving, and just
Mm,
like what's that flow, the give and the
yeah.
receiving part. And you know that might mean asking questions and flipping perspective to see it from the other point of view. And I see a lot for what others need and what will make them happy. And I've always been really good at that, right? It's just that intuition, but to then flip it, because really I recognize that's been the distortion. It was inverted for me
Mm,
to focus on everyone else. It's time to actually flip it and start to focus on me. And as much as I had it ingrained that that's selfish, I can't give a shit anymore, right? It's if you expect me to give, you're not for me, right? It's that simple to start realizing, is this good for you? Absolutely. But is it good for me? No. And that's the place that I've been in now, of just looking at and realizing, we just had Mother's Day and we were out camping. We got home, but my friend and I had already decided, like, we're going to meet up. And I hadn't really told the family. So, here we get home and then they're like, oh, Mom, what would you like to do? And I'm like, I'm going to hang out with a friend. And they were all like, oh,
what?
oh. I'm like, bye. Because it's like I can't wait around anymore, or I can't plan it for myself. And that's how it goes. It's just some of these pieces of like, it's draining, or I feel exhausted, and I don't need to keep myself in this hamster wheel of a loop and think that I have to do it all. But then there is that piece of taking inventory on what is it that I require, because
Mhm.
now I can ask for it. But if
Mhm.
you just on a whim are like, hey, what do you want to do? I didn't take inventory. I don't know. I'm going to just dismiss it. I'm going to tell you, oh, it's okay. I don't need anything, right? How many of us do that?
I'm
And
fine.
yeah, and I don't need, right? Because we don't want to appear needy. We don't want to ask for something that we really desire. And I think this ties back to even the job pieces, right? Even if you had a company that's like proactive on employment, and satisfaction and job satisfaction. Like, what is it you need? Is there anything we can do for you? Like, most of the time we go, oh no, I'm fine. Oh no, things are great. Even though we're like seething, right? And that's that emotional piece that later, especially when we are emotional, the insights come later. And later you go, dang, I should have said this. But in the moment, when we're really not in tune, we haven't been assessing where are we, where's my self-love aspects, how am I taking care of myself, where am I giving too much, right? It's these conversations to have with ourselves first, because we've taken that inventory. Now we can ask, now we can share, now we can tell people, hey, what would really help me right now? This. And it's getting better at even asking others. Like, I know I hear you, like, that you're in a kind of a wind tunnel, or you're, in this overwhelmed, chaotic state. What support do you need? And sometimes it's like, they won't know, but please let me know. I'm going to follow up, or let me find out, like, is there some sort of support that I can provide, and I'm not good at asking for what I need, because I didn't always do this. And so now it's just that realization of pausing instead of just dismissing, because again, that's the polite people pleaser thing to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm not pleasing myself, right?
Yeah,
I was so focused on everyone else, and it
yeah.
just has to change.
I love that. Yeah, and letting people know, to reach out to people because we don't know. I think everybody's going through so many things right now, and just reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, I really care. How you doing? What's going on?" Which is something that I think we've stopped doing because we don't want to intrude or we don't want to overwhelm people. But just reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, how are you?" would be really nice. Um, so thank you, ladies. Thank you for this amazing conversation. And for those of you listening, in hide and seek, the whole point is to be found. A full life isn't hiding in plain sight. It's stepping out and saying, "Here I am." We are really interested in getting to know you. Um, and here I am to my relationships, to my purpose, and to myself. So this week, notice one place you're hiding. You don't have to fix it. Just notice, just take inventory. So if you're watching, leave a comment. What are your thoughts? What's coming up for you during this conversation? Um, we would love to keep the conversation going and to make sure that more people are really living their purpose and their full life. So have a great day, and thank you so much for being here.